Yo, everybody, how's it going? Drew here. Thank you so much for clicking on another episode of Shred Sessions. This podcast is a Nashville-based metal, hardcore, and musician podcast where you can get the inside scoop on the world of heavy music here in the Southeast, as well as hear from some of the top players in the genres that are covered on this channel. So thank you so much for being here. Over the next few weeks, we've got some really exciting things. We have Crowd Kill Confessions 3, which should be dropping about a week from when this video comes out. I went to the Hardcore in Huntsville concert and was able to talk to a lot of the fans and the bands and the band members, and as well as some live footage from the concert, which was totally chaotic and insane. It's one of the best hardcore shows I've been to in a long time. So that will be out very soon. The following interview is with bassist Kilian Duarte, and if you've been listening to technical death metal or progressive metal over the last 15 years or so, that name should be familiar to you. Kilian is a Venezuelan-born bassist who studied at Berklee College of Music. So his experience at Berklee will be a little bit of a contrast to our previous guest who went to Berklee, Danny Rabin. Feel free to check out that interview if you want his kind of scoop on that. But Kilian has recorded and played live with bands like Fallujah, Abiotic, Scale the Summit, Felix Martin, Nilly Broche, Visitant, Laddermath, and many others. In addition to playing in metal bands and progressive rock bands, Kilian also plays bass for live theater productions, for example, The Little Shop of Horrors, Shrek the Musical, Rent, and many other productions. Kilian also teaches alongside Victor Wooten and Steve Bailey at the Berklee bass camps that they do, and he's just one of the most knowledgeable and kind and generous musicians that I have personally met. So Kilian, thank you so much for coming on Shred Sessions. I think you guys out there are going to enjoy our conversation. Now, one little caveat to that is that the following conversation is a little bit lower quality video and audio than what you will normally find on the Shred Sessions channel. So I apologize in advance for that. I was recording to the cloud that Zoom offers on their service, which unfortunately is very low quality. So next time I'll be recording my remote interviews straight to my hard drive. So my apologies for that. But if you enjoyed this interview, please like the video, please share the video wherever you'd like to on the internet, and drop a comment below. I look forward to hearing from you. So without further ado, here is our conversation with Kilian Duarte. Kilian, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. It's been a good week so far. Very productive summer. So you know what? Can't complain. I'm here.
That's awesome to hear, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, for sure. No, this is fun. I was like, talking about art is good. So
Heck yeah,
bro. Well, man, I kind of wanted to start at the beginning with you. Like, I wanted to know, like, how you got into music initially. I know you're Venezuelan, right? Did you grow up in Venezuela?
I lived there till I was 3, and then me and my parents, we moved to South Florida. My grandma obviously helped sponsor our visas there, and then I grew up in South Florida till I was 18.
Wow.
So I grew up in Broward, and yeah, basically it's very stereotypical. Kind of, there was a kid in my 7th grade class that got a guitar. It was Frank. Still remember the kid and everything. Got one of those little Squire starter packs, and by then I'd already gotten into music. I was already into it. I had I had an older cousin that was, kind of like my older brother figure that got me into the bands that would be, relevant for growing up. And then music kind of ran in my family indirectly. My uncle was actually a concert pianist, and he studied with Martha Argerich and stuff like that. And
no kidding. Wow.
Yeah. So Carlos Duarte. And so,
wow.
And my parents don't know a C chord from, a doorknob, but they both have really good taste in music. My mom, she's this little 64-year-old Latina woman, but she's a huge prog nerd. She's the Rush head in the family, and
wow.
Stuff like Renaissance and Yes. And then my dad is a big fusion guy. He's a big Al Di Meola fan, stuff like that. And again, Neither of them know. Like if I told
That's
them,
crazy.
like, find the E string or a gun goes off, the gun would go off. But they both had really cool taste in music. So like, yeah, my mom when I was like 19, she was like, "Will you come with me to the Rush show? I need someone to go with." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll go see Rush with you, Mom." It was fun.
That's awesome. So what was your first Rush show that you saw?
I only saw them once, and it was during like the Clockwork Angels thing.
Yeah.
Like when it was obviously with Neil. Yeah, my mom just wanted to go because she actually loved, her favorite record from them is Fly By Night. That reminds her a lot of like being a teenager, so she loved that. So she wanted to see them, and again, like I have a big appreciation for Getty and the guys. So it was like fun. It was a good like mother-son bonding day. So it's fun. Yeah.
Super sick.
Yeah, man. So you play a lot of different styles, and you play technical death metal too. So, at what point in like your journey with music as a kid did you get into like the heavier stuff?
Kind of from the beginning, just in the sense that like my older cousin obviously was like exposing me to like metal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I had kids in my class, even though I went to like a private Catholic school. You know, we smuggled that stuff in, like, you know, like opium in the.
I definitely know.
Yeah, you know.
That. Yeah, totally.
And yeah, my older cousin would be like showing me like, you know, the first Slipknot record, and I remember like, you know, kids in my class like Korn and stuff like that. Very like I'm 37, so like, you know, very millennial, you know, the new metal age into what would become that era.
Same age as me, man.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys get it. And then so basically, you know, I think I asked my mom with my allowance money to get like a Columbia house. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, we're aging ourselves, right? And then I just kind of just started going down that rabbit hole. And then
Such a scam.
And then at 13, yeah, it was. But you know, from ooh, it was great.
Where's that money going?
Yeah, yeah, no. But my mom, what do you call it? My aunt, for my 13th birthday, a little bit earlier than that, she ordered me one of those Ibanez starter kit bases once. So it's like basically like the little Fender P bass one, but with Ibanez.
Yeah.
And I just remember like now, you know, we're so used to like online shipping, everything you can get it the same day. And I remember that bass took like 70 days or something like that to get there. It was like,
oh my God, that's torture.
Yeah, because she got like the free shipping thing, but it must have been coming directly from Indonesia or something. But it was cool. And then after that, I just got hooked. I got it the first day, and I realized my fingers could do this naturally. Like I could get it.
Wow.
Like, I could get that normally. The left hand, obviously, I didn't get right away, but the right hand felt natural, and then I just got kind of addicted to playing.
Dude, your right hand is insane. And can you talk a little bit about the bass that you currently are holding there and maybe play a little bit for us?
Yeah, sure, man. So this is actually kind of a unique thing. So I'm a Kiesel artist, so I would say that this is not me betraying the company at all. One of my best friends was a luthier here in Massachusetts named Dave Cohen. He actually passed away 2 years ago, and unfortunately,
I love Dave. Dave is the man, dude.
Yeah, you remember Dave?
Yeah, I was at we played a show. My band played a show with Juggernaut, and then you know we toured that factory, and he was gonna put a middle pickup in one of my Strandbergs, and then unfortunately,
yeah,
you know, he's an unbelievable builder, and those EQ guitars are phenomenal, dude.
He passed away.
Yeah,
Dude,
he was on tours with Animals as Leaders doing guitar teching for them in Devin Townsend Dream Theater. He had a heart condition he wasn't aware of, passed away unfortunately. Great person. I miss him every day. That's hence the tattoo. I
saw it, dude. Yeah, that's
this
crazy.
is my this is actually his widow, my really good friend Marianne. When last year we just all decided to hang out and like, you know, because I hadn't seen her in a bit, and this bass had been in the shop, you know. And what it was that this, like, you know, because again, when you're one of these luthiers, that's like, you know, you got a lot of big money clients sometimes that are just like coming in that, you know, like spend money and they just want to buy 5 basses. So this guy wanted Dave to build a bass that could hold 2 preamps and like the kitchen sink in the thing, right? And then he literally returned it to Dave, but not because he wasn't satisfied. He's like, why don't you just have this as a shop bass, right? So I remember after he passed away, I went to go visit the shop, you know, see everyone. And this was hanging there, and I go like, oh man, like I didn't even say I wanted it. I just was like, oh man, like that's so cool that bass is still there. And then like 2 weeks later, we go to meet up, and she just gave it to me.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, it was just a gift.
Amazing.
Real.
Yeah, no, it's insane because this bass, I don't know how much this thing costs. You know, it's not mine to know, But it's unbelievable. It's so like for me, whenever I'm like just sitting at home, I usually like to play it because like one, it's beautiful. I mean, I play my keys all day long, obviously, but this one's just like sentimental for me because it's just like that. But it's beautiful. It's neck through, and it has flame
roasted maple. Is that great? Yeah.
And it's Wenge in the middle.
Black Limba.
Black Limba body, waterfall Babinga top.
Wow.
And then one of those Delano, I don't remember the name of the model. They're very nice, but the egg.
Yeah, the egg.
That's so unique, man. What a cool bass.
It's the switching, Matt. What is that? What are the controls, dude? That's crazy.
So again, this wasn't built for me. It was for a very eccentric customer, and it's two three-band EQ preamps stacked on top of each other. This knob here can blend both at the same time. Like, so you can literally use two different equalization systems if you want. Active, passive, split, parallel, series. I believe that's the thing. Split, I know, is this way. A kill switch, master volume. These two are just mid-frequency controls. One's called a Z switch, and I remember Dave, when they made the switch, literally goes like, I don't know what this does. And I go like, and I'm like, I usually keep it in passive mode, to be honest with you, because it has a 10-way passive tone control. Not because not that I don't like it active. It just, the natural sound of the Delano through passive sounds fantastic. Yeah, it's like. Very like expressive.
Yeah.
So just like
beautiful.
Very
Dude, what was wait, hold on. What was that technique right there? I couldn't see the right hand actually.
Oh, like, sorry, man. So what I do here is based off Abraham L'Oreal, like.
Okay, cool, like flamenco.
Wait, sorry.
Incredible.
Unbelievable, bro.
It's sick. Because
incredible.
We're doing like really fast triplets, and at the same time, it's very musical because it sounds like I'm doing auxiliary percussion by holding a bass line. It's it's not one of these techniques that has like no value musically. Like it's actually kind of cool because like I can hold a rhythm like. See, like I can cool like.
Wow.
It's kind of awesome. Yeah, he came to school when I was at Berklee my senior year. And again, Abraham Laborio, for those uninitiated, is a master session bass player from Mexico.
He's incredible.
Yeah, and his son's also like an amazing drummer who plays with like Paul McCartney and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he comes from a flamenco Spanish guitar background. That's how he started. So he always had like flamenquilla stuff, like you know what I mean, like. So he'd always be like doing like. That's kind of how he approached stuff, and I always thought that was really cool. So whenever I see something that like I think is like really unique, I'm like, need to add.
Okay, so how long does it take you to add something like that? I mean, at this point, you have this master muscle memory that you've assembled, but like, I mean, I guess talk about in the beginning. Like, how did you develop this super advanced, like, comprehensive technique that really covers all techniques, that you're like kind of like just like a spider just putting a web out and catching all this? Like at this point, like I guess in the beginning, how long did it take you to learn something like that? And now what is it like now if you want to assimilate that type of technique?
Now assimilating technique is very like easy and natural. Like right now, I'm sure if you guys follow me on Instagram, my guitar is my white whale. Like
I noticed that.
Jason Richardson stuff, getting all this stuff in. So now it's much easier. For me, what it was that I genuinely like, and it wasn't to be a show off at all. It was that when I was a teenager, I didn't want to ever like have my imagination be limited by stuff. And again, it was also like real talk, since this is like a podcast. It's like it also was a way for like a stress relief, right? So if like I had a bad day, I just like you know, you can physically like strike something. I'm talking about specifically a slap bass, but it's very like soothing. You know, teenage years are hard anyway. So like for me, it was something I was good at, and I kind of went like, okay, let me go into it. But it really, like, I loved exploring the caverns of everything, right? I liked hearing other players. Like I always hated, there's just two types of players. The ones that when they see something that they can't do, they go like, I quit. Or the ones that go like, now I'm stoked. Like for me, that was one thing that was good, is whenever I saw, my dad would take me like a Stanley Clarke concert or Vic Rutner insert any bass player. My parents, you know, they didn't have a lot of money, but they're always supportive when they could. You know what I mean? Like, you know, not always financially, because, you know, like, you know, we're not Nepo people, like whatever, but like they always supported like me wanting to learn stuff, right? And so my dad would take me to go see like Stanley Clarke specifically, and I'd just come home and be like, I need to play bass. I need to figure out something of how he did that stuff. Wow. And so for me, like that's like the running joke of when he goes with his upright. That was one of the things that came from my three finger stuff, like, you know, like. It was all from like learning Stanley Clarke stuff, and like then, you know, getting into metal and stuff like that. The other thing too is also like, I think my big thing is that, you know, the reputation of bass players that we're like the little brother that you give the broken PS4 controller to, like, and I never wanted to do that because, you know, I remember I was like 14, I got fired from a band with 11th graders. It broke my heart, right? Because I couldn't. And so I think that put some fire under my ass to like get really good. But also like with bass like that, like, you know, I started getting into heavier styles. So for me, I'm like, I wanted to keep up. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a lot of metal and heavy stuff, especially as a teenager, you know, you have to have like stamina to do this stuff and do it well. And I never wanted to be like the, you know, like in A Christmas Story, the little brother in the back being like, wait for me, guys. You know what I mean? I wanted to hang, and also like when you're good at things technically as well, like, you know, it takes you less time to learn things. So for me, it's more not so much, oh, I just love technique so much. Technique is great. It's more that it saves me so much time to learn material. And then when something's simple in pocket, I can fully just, you know, almost completely disassociate and just listen like a listener. You know, if I'm just playing like, see, I can just vibe and groove. Like I don't have to worry about, oh, is there a drummer here? I can just imagine the scenario and really lose myself in playing. So for me, that's really kind of what I do. Why I do it is so that way when I'm whether I'm playing something difficult or something simple, my brain can just enjoy it like a passive listener.
Wow. So you touched on something too. You know, like saying that technique obviously makes it easier to learn stuff. Something I've admired about you is that you're involved with so many different projects that are demanding. It's not like these are just, you know, these are not groove in the pocket projects. Like you're learning technical death metal, you're learning jazz fusion. Like how do you approach time management with that? How do you keep all of this stuff together, and how much maintenance does that require? Like how do you prioritize?
That's a really good question. So it's one at a time, you know what I mean? Like, so thankfully, like a lot of these things are more in a sequence of events, you know, over the course of a year. It's like, wow, you did a lot, but really these things come one at a time, right?
Okay.
But I actually was talking with a student about this the other day about how I prioritize learning tunes, right? So what I do actually is I don't approach the song in a linear fashion. I approach it at different points.
Okay.
So what'll happen is I'll see, okay, what's the hardest part of this? And I'll start chewing away at that like a beaver on a log, right? And then I'll go to the parts that are like, okay, this part I can learn in 2 seconds. And then I'll just get that quick. And then I'll kind of like slowly tie everything together.
Got it.
There's a Fallujah song called Sapphire that for me to get fully up to BPM, and again, one of the things I wanted to do it at full, I didn't want an eighth note. I wanted to match the kick and everything and match all the triplets to make it sound extra tight. It took me about 2.5 months to get that song all the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes me feel better. That makes me feel
No, like there's some, I mean, it's only human, you know what I mean? Like, okay. Like tech death and stuff like that, I would never, like, and even though I learned songs really fast, like it wouldn't be like, oh, I can do a tech death tour next week. Like, I'm like, no, man, like, it's also like, I think the good thing is that like, I take songs, I'll practice it for like, you know, let's say if I have a tour coming up, I'll do like 3.5 hours of practice. I'll stop. I always say everyone's brain, at least mine, is like the sink, you need to let it drain but you need to let it drain slowly. If you pour too much water, it'll overflow. You just have water on the ground.
It's a good way to call it out. Cool.
Yeah, so I do it in bursts, and I approach songs omnidirectionally. And then thankfully, because I know enough theory and I know how like the language and like, you know, what things sound like, the genre is really not the problem. Like, because I've listened to stuff all my life that was
right.
I just grew up with a very eclectic music taste, and also just with the exposure from my family. Like, so like a genre is really not going to be the issue. It's just how, you know, how much of the material is, you know, like how long the songs are, how many pieces there are to the tunes and stuff like that. And then I just kind of do it one at a time. You know what I mean? And
okay.
Yeah, so I approach everything on its own, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. I approach the song omnidirectionally and do it in bursts.
Okay, so like say you're learning an abiotic set, you play the tour, everything's great, you're not going out again for another 6 months. When you pick up that material again, how much of it do you actually retain? Do you do any kind of maintenance on that material just randomly, or is it just something that you do when you have to do it?
No, like actually a lot of that stuff stays ingrained. Like with abiotic, like a lot of that stuff, I remember I hadn't touched the material in like between these two tours was like 7 months, and I just spent the week before just shedding the tunes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it pretty much stays like there's like, you know, I left Fallujah like a year and a half ago. There's still some songs that muscle memory will still keep it. You know, it won't be perfect, but like yeah, like my muscle memory, thankfully for songs, is pretty strong. So usually before a tour, like especially when we were deep in it and we played a lot, you know, I practiced the week before the tour, just a couple of maintenance. It's when the initial bedrock is laid down.
Okay.
It is, but once you play like 100 shows of a
right, then you got it in there.
You can play it almost half dead. It depends how often you play it. Like so, I played with this amazing guitarist Neely Broche.
She was in my labs, dude.
Oh, Neely, that's awesome.
Yeah, man, at Berklee. Yeah.
Yeah, Neely's awesome, and you know, her material we only play like once or twice a year just because she's doing out her own thing. So that one I will take like, you know, the full week before to run the tunes a bunch of times. And there, like, you know, some cobwebs do happen, but that's also because we play it so sparingly. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, that's usually the indicator. If I play a billion shows with that band, then it's at that point, it's like, oh yeah,
you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 10,000 hour rule, I think, man. Like, and the more you play it, the more it's gonna, you know, get in there. But like, okay, so let's just rewind for a second. So when did you know you were going to music school? Like how did that arise? Like what was your process there?
Yeah, no, for real. That's a good question. So for me, it was that like, you know, high school is a weird time for everyone, unless like, you know, for whatever. And my parents saw how dedicated I was to everything. And, you know, I'd done a bass summer camp, which I now teach. It wasn't with Victor Boom, but it was the bass weekend, which is kind of awesome to go full circle with that. But my mom took me when I was 14, and it felt like a right fit for me to go to music school. And it worked out. Thankfully, I got a substantial scholarship. I wasn't a full ride or anything like that, but like enough where like I didn't leave with substantial debt or anything like that. And I was a business major actually. So wow. I took my 2 years of lessons. I was lucky enough to study with Matthew Garrison. Amazing.
Oh, dude, he rules, man.
Yeah, I was able to do Matt Garrison and Fernando Huergo and a bunch of these amazing bass players. Bruce Gertz, they got my upright chops up. So I really kind of got my money's worth with that. And I think what it was, just like I knew I needed to leave South Florida, and I knew I needed to like be in that environment, because for me, like 18-year-old me needed to get the fuck away from home. Like, I don't know. And this isn't like trash talking an area, but like for me, South Florida just isn't a fit for my personality.
You don't want to wrangle Burmese pythons?
Yeah. And again, like I love visiting my family down there. It's cool. But like I was one of those kids, 18, I need to get the hell out of Dodge.
Nice.
Because also like music there wasn't much for scene. Like, and it was interesting because a lot of the guys that I knew, the older guys, you know, when jazz was big, they all like knew Jocko. Like, you know, like I grew up in Broward County. Like I went to school in Deerfield. That's like where Jocko lived.
Just hanging out. Yeah.
All the boomers in the music stores are like, oh yeah, I used to know John. Like he like lived like there. And so, you know, I'm hearing this, but the gigs at that time in South Florida were very sparing, and like it became like a real estate thing. So all the venues were closing. So there was no future of this in me. And I just needed to be like in an environment where I could just learn more art and be around that kind of thing.
So were you playing shows back then? Like you got like a substantial scholarship. Were you already like gigging, or like what you have a...
I played shows like, you know, around town. I wouldn't call it gigging, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, you know, high school bands, like friends bands. I did play shows, but it wasn't like, oh no, I was paying like tons of gigs down. Again, because the scene was dying. So for me, I was like, you know, I need art. Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm always jealous of when people like, I don't know, you hear like, you know, people like Long Islanders or people like, oh no, the scene I grew up in, there were gigs everywhere. Everyone was in a band. I was like, I'm starving. I did not have that experience. So for me, it was good to go someplace with a lot of art.
And that's cool that you're still in Boston, right? Like,
yeah.
Wow. I mean,
like,
you don't hear that too much. That's cool, dude.
Yeah, just what it was that like I liked the area, and then basically I was with my ex for a long time, and I settled roots here. And thankfully, like once I started touring with Felix, and like that scene kind of like, you know, the instrumental prog thing of the 2010s blew up. Thankfully, like, and now with being online, it doesn't really matter where you play as much, like where you live as much. Like I found that I gig as much as anyone in LA or Nashville for certain things. And like I know people here that like get big gigs or not. Like, yeah, sure. Like if I wanted to be like in a big country act, probably would help for me to live in Nashville. But now with the internet, you know, you see people that live, like I think Mohini Day like lives literally still in India, and she plays with Will Smith. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of, it's less essential now. And I just like the area. Like I have a bunch of friends here, and I teach around here, and so, and then I play like locally. I do like wedding band stuff, you know. When
I do that too.
Regard to, and yeah, and like I don't mind that at all. So for me, I'm like, I like the area. I live, you know, I have a new relationship now, which is great.
Great.
But I stuck around here, and a couple of my best friends are here. So yeah, it's been good.
So sorry, I'm hijacking.
No, go for it, man. Keep it going.
I'm just kind of the natural flow here. So that's amazing that you've been able to establish yourself. Obviously, you have this giant, you know, online following, and rightfully so. You're playing in the wedding band. You're teaching. How do you like? What advice would you give to musicians these days that want financial stability from just music? Like, what do you need to do, dude? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's diversifying. As far as I know, it's just like that's also one of the reasons. Like people are like, oh, you play so many genres so well. It's like well, it came from like liking the taste of food and liking electricity in my house a little bit. Because I'll never forget, once I graduated, like, you know, I had a day job because I was a business major, but like, you know, I wanted to play bass, right? And even though I wasn't that good of a reader, now I'm a decent reader. But when I graduated, I wasn't like, you know, like, you know, I'm not a classical guy, and also like that. A guy was like, hey, I have these theater pit gigs. Will you do them? And I'm like, and that would have paid for the gap in my rent plus that. So like I would have been in a surplus for the month. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I've done like a bunch of theater pit work. I didn't even grow up listening to musicals. I never actually kind of enjoyed it. I still am kind of like agnostic about musicals, but I respect the crap out of the people who make them and perform in them. But that just came out of like, hey, learn to swim, dude. And so like, you know, you take up stuff like weddings, like, you know, again, like I like doing them. They're fine. It's not what I sought out to be, but like it became, hey, do you want to make $600 for a day?
Exactly. That's why I do it.
Think about it financially. It's like it's fine. And like for me, I'm not above, you know, working. And it again, I enjoy playing bass. So as long as the musicians are good, like the hang is good and the musicians are good, I can find a way to enjoy the gig. You know what I mean? If the money's there and the people are nice, and I'm getting paid to play bass, you know, man, there are people that died in coal mines. I can find a way to be okay with that. And so for me, it was just people would ask me like, can you do this? And I would just say yes. And then I'd figure it out later, especially when I was in my early 20s, right? Like luckily because of Berklee and because of like, I was already like kind of adaptable already, but it really just comes down to, you know, being a chameleon is just kind of how I found a way to live. And then teaching's, at least for me, you know, you know, if Metallica ever needs me, I'm available. But like, yeah, teaching, but I don't mind teaching. Like for me, like I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy obviously teaching more like older teens and adults and stuff like that, and I do it privately here on Discord and stuff like that. But yeah, teach, gig a lot, diversify. I mean, like it's not anymore that like, you know, I remember like I always see these documentaries for these boomer musicians. I'm like, man, it must have been nice. You know, you just do one thing. It's like, I'm a rock bass player. I'm like, what? Like that's sick. Like I remember there's a documentary with Nate Mendel, but sorry, with the Foo Fighters. It was like from like 2015. And Nate Mendel has a moment where he's like, yeah, I was going to quit the Foo Fighters to rejoin Sunny Day Real Estate. And I've like, again, no shade to Nate Mendel, but I've never just imagined drowning someone in a bathtub. Like just till the you're going to quit the Foo Fighters? Like,
Yeah,
dude, you know
do not do that, bro.
It drives me nuts when I hear stuff like that because I know how hard. Because I've done the same thing you have, man. I've had to be a chameleon. Like,
and I just to do this, and you're going to give me millions of dollars in sushi? Yes, please. Hey,
Yeah, I love how you like pull the P bass out. Like I've got one ready right here, guys.
that stuff drives me nuts, man. I don't like that that entitled musician out. Like, yeah, man. Like the industry dried up. I mean, you know.
Yeah. So Kilian, talk about your different revenue streams that you have that you need to survive, right, in the music world. Like you kind of talked about them just a second ago, but for anybody that wants to do what you do and actually like make a living and have a bunch of basses and cool instruments, like how does someone pull this off, man? What are the different revenue streams?
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, for me, mostly teaching. Honestly, like you got to get like a roster of students. I also teach privately at a school around here, 3 days a week, and I did that as a choice, not just so much for financial reasons, but after COVID, for my mental health to get out of the house and have a routine like that.
It's cool
because I'm very much like COVID. I'm sure like a lot of musicians made me go a little insane. And so
that's what I did during the pandemic too, man. I taught at a private school with guitar, and it was great. Yeah. It was great. I loved it.
So for me, it was just like, so 3 days a week I go there, I drive. It's a routine that I do that. I go to a place. It's in person, which is good for, you know, socialization. Everything's online these days. It's good to, especially because the interactions are about art. You know what I mean? So it's good to be in a room full of people and doing that. Thankfully, it's not like a kiddie school rock thing. It's actually run by this really great guy named Ron Bossy, and he's actually an accomplished jazz guitarist. So like he's had sessions there with like it was like someone he had like Brian Bromberg and Jimmy Haslip and a bunch.
Wow.
Yeah, so he has like some like we're gonna actually do. It's fun. I have a big smooth jazz concert I have to fly out to Colorado with this like a famous guitar player named Norman Brown. He's like smooth jazz guy, and then Jeff Lorber is keyboardist. So he got me into that scene a bit. But so it's nice. It's not like some like rinky-dink establishment. Like they have a studio space there. They treat me really nicely. Like if I, you know, like again, like I'm not working this weekend because I got gigs and stuff like that, and you know I'm always there when they need me and stuff like that. But apart from teaching, is again like I do gigs if people need me around here, session stuff like recording online, like you know I get asked like, hey, can you track on this, whatever like that, and then just you know, you missed a match, like so like teaching mostly again, like I did the Berklee stuff this summer, so I taught with the Wooten camp, stuff like that. So I'm always picking up odds and ends in different areas. And then my background's in music products management, so from time to time I've also like worked. It's been a while, thankfully playing has kind of sustained me for a while, but you know I you know work for products companies. I wouldn't be opposed to doing it again, you know, as a side hustle and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just that I think that there's some things that people think are like, oh crap, I have to do that, and it's like, yeah, because like unless like you get like a giant touring act that will give you on retainer, you know, because even when like I did some bigger tours, like you know you get money from that, but they're not big enough to be on retainer. Like the big bands that keep you on retainer, those are, you know, golden goose gigs, and then you know like those are rare. So I've always said like I hope that the rocket comes for you, but it's better to start building a staircase instead of waiting for the rocket. And
love your attitude, man. Love it.
And I think that that's kind of the thing. And so, you know, I've never played download, but at the same time, I've accomplished most of my childhood dreams. So for me, I'm like, you know, and I'm still not over. I'm only 37, stuff like that. And I got some big stuff happening with some like much bigger artists than what I'm known for. So hopefully that pans out. Like again, like one of the things is like also too is just like when you have big releases you think are going to catapult your career, sometimes they'll stay on a shelf for a very long time. So a big learning curve also advice is like, hey, don't tie your horse to a single wagon. For me,
definitely.
Like, don't get me wrong, if you're a band leader, or if, like, let's say, hey, like the guys in Mastodon, right? R.I.P. Brett. Like, those guys went in together, like, all right, this is our lives now. Like, we're all shipping off. But if you're like a hired gun, you can't necessarily tie your fates to a single project.
Right.
Like, kind of are like, hey, you know, even when I was in with Felix, stuff like that, you know, I'd be like, you have to kind of look out for yourself. And that's not a shade to any of the other bands. It's kind of like, unless your name is in the LLC, you know, you have to also view it yourself like, hey, you're kind of an employee at that company, or you're helping at that company, but you can't just be like, oh no, you control my fate. Like, and I think that's also like a lesson I would give to like anyone navigating the modern world. It's like, hey, look, these institutions are trying to make money, which is their right to do. You know, look out for yourself. And that's not necessarily shade or anything, just like diversify. Because like even then, like when something's great, you get paid for a session. That album could stay on a shelf for years, depending on what time the release. Like I have a record coming out, hopefully. I can't talk about the details because of NDA, but like with, you know, a big hip hop artist that like people know. But I recorded that album in 2021. It's still going to come out, but like that's one of the things where like, you know, I had to learn like, all right, this would be really great for my career, but gotta wait. And it's not that they're malicious or anything bad, just on their timeline, this is a thing they're going to release later. So I can't get all my hopes and dreams that like, oh no, it's only when this record comes out. So the second that I finish something, like, cool guys, let me know when you need me. And then I jump on to something else. And I think that's the really good interview, not comparing myself in any way, but with Maynard, when people realized he wasn't the one holding up the Tool records, that he'd be like, oh, what are you guys doing? Do you need me? No. Okay, I'm going to go do a Pussifer record. Oh, do you guys need me? Nope. Okay. And so that attitude, I think, is also why Maynard James Keenan is the way he is, but it's also, I think that's a good attitude to have. He's like, hey, when you need me, I'm here, but you can't just sit around at home and be like, I can't wait for them to finish this record and my career will be, you know what I mean? You gotta keep searching.
Yeah, it sounds like being proactive is really the way to be when you're in that scene. And you know, another question I had was related to like, you know, your album credits. Like, is that another revenue stream for you? Like some of the work that you've done with like Fallujah and Scale the Summit. Did you write and on Abiotic as well? Did you write those bass parts, and do you get an album credit for that or a point for that?
Yeah. So with Fallujah, no, I didn't record on those records. I was Evan Brewer. I just did the live.
Gotcha.
But with Abiotic and Scale Summit, yeah, like basically what I did is that like with Scale, I'm like an employee, so he'd pay me a flat rate. And then actually, because I'm still like, he'd partner, like once we got over a certain amount, I'd get like a little too, like, hey, Venmo time, and I'd get that. You know, these aren't multi-platinum selling records, so it's not like I'm like getting, you know, ASCAP things. But yeah, no, with Abiotic, like randomly, like, you know, I'll still like get like every couple of months, John will send me a text, be like, hey boys, merchant record money, and we're like, woo, and then, you know,
that's awesome, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, so it does happen, but it's not something I like count on because it's not like big platinum selling things. But a lot of the session stuff I do, it's like a flat rate, like,
right,
I'll pay you blah 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 for this, you know what I mean? If I'm more involved in the like, and I do write some of the bass lines, but the structure is already kind of there, you know what I mean? Because also I like doing the Paul McCartney method of writing bass last. If I'm in a band, if I can do bass last, that's the best, because then I can fill in the gaps. Because it's the worst when like you come up with a really sick part that's actually really pocket, but it's like that. But then the vocals go over, like, man, now it sounds like I'm overplaying or underplaying, depending on what it needs, right?
Right.
So I remember reading that in a bass player that Paul McCartney said he did bass last, and if I'm not like in a room recording an album with other people or there, I love doing bass last if possible. And but yeah, like on all like the Scale Summit records and Abiotic, that's me. That's just me writing the stuff. I got a lot of, thankfully, like now, I know you're wrong. I don't mind if someone asks me like, I just want you to play these notes, right? Like when I did that song for Angel Vivaldi's last record, he just wanted me like, hey, just play these notes, please. And then he goes like, this one section, you can kind of groove it up. I did like a little salsa thing. But apart from that, he just wanted those strict notes. But that's, you know, that's totally fine. Thankfully, with the other bands, like they kind of let me go like, hey, go bananas. And so like they want me to be creative with it, and that's kind of cool. So, but that's also a different environment because again, there's like prog bands where like that's kind of the appeal is to have like bass be a little bit more eccentric than, you know, if I was playing bass for John Mayer, they want something different.
What about money from like content, like posting online and stuff? Is that a viable thing, or is it just like, yeah?
I've never broken into that area.
Okay.
Like, I got paid for virality, and for me, the way my attitude with social media, I actually was just thinking about this because, you know, I feel like we live in an age where everything now is like everyone is the blind leading the blind, and everyone's a soothsayer and an influencer. Is like the algorithms is almost random because you can try it with really HD quality content, phone stuff, hashtags, no hashtags, different keywords, different buzzwords, and honestly, the algorithm changes so much that it's almost random. It's almost like speculative investing in this stuff. So for me, the way I view social media and the healthy way I view it is that like, look, this is just a catalog of my art, right? So I'm not viewing it so much like I need to make content. It's like, so when I drop a video for like the Radio Romboy thing I did the other day, or like when I do these solo things, it's just like, look, here's a catalog of my resume and also art. The other reason why I post is also because I feel like we live in an age where there's a lot of people that just like talk a crap load and then you never hear them actually play, but they're very opinionated on things. And like, I'm like, I don't need to say anything, man. Just here. Look, here's art. Here's art due. I think like and again, I love talking about art. I'm like not against talking about stuff and having opinions, stuff like that. But I'm definitely one of those people where like I show my homework. Like I do it and I go like, all right, here it is. Here's this in this application. Here's this. Like I show my work. And for me, that for me speaks more volumes than just like the other way around. So, you know, I'm always going to be like, all right, am I making good art? And that's what matters to me. And the way my relationship with social media has not been so much about making content as much as this is now a catalog for my art and a resume also. So if people want to check out like, oh, should I hire this guy? He's like, oh crap, look, here's a video, a clip of them doing this. So now, okay, crap, there it is. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah, that's the way to do it, I think, man. Like just staying true with the music that you love to play, and you're playing at such a high level. And I think people they want to get viral, so I have some friends that have done this where they create a type of content, and I think they're being authentic with what they're doing, but they're getting into like sort of the comedy aspect of trying to pull people in, and it actually works. But I think what you've done is you've just been really consistent with your playing, man, and you're pulling people in that way. And like with I have like 10,000 subs on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like $100 a month in ad revenue. It's nothing crazy. So if anybody that's watching this, like, that's not where to put your eggs, you know, in the basket. Now there's other ways to monetize your YouTube channel. You know, I could make t-shirts or have a members only section or have a Patreon.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Like, I think, I don't know. For me personally, I get a little annoyed when I see these kind of like people trying to make comedy music content and it just doesn't hit, you know, and it's just very off-putting to me because it comes off as being very disingenuous when the chops aren't there to back it up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like so one of the things, the reason why I was talking about this somewhat, why Weird Al works is because actually he's a good musician and his band is really good. So like it's actually like good art when they do it. Like, and apparently he's amazing live and stuff like that. I've heard. One day, that's my bucket list. I got to go see Weird Al before it goes. But yeah, so one of the things too is also it's like how you are recognized, right? Like one of the things that I prefer, and don't get me wrong, like if someone says, hey man, I've seen your videos on Instagram, I love your playing, that's a big compliment for me. I'm not ungrateful for that at all. But when people go like, man, I love that record you were on, or I love this project you're doing, that means so much more to me because that's what I wanted as a kid. Like, you know, again, I grew up, you know, I'm an American kid, you know, I was raised like, yeah, I wanted to be in a cool band and like release sick records. And I still, that's my goal, is to be like, you know, doing that. And if people find me through Instagram, I'm more than happy to do it. But the thing is, like, there was a point in time during COVID where I did this, like, dance monkey dance thing on Instagram. And I'm glad I did it because I got a lot of videos out there and some of them went really well. And, a lot of people discovered me and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to ever make clickbait. And I've seen that stuff can erode people's soul, because then you're feeding algorithm that, one, it's not a person, so it can't be reasoned with, and it morphs all the time based on external stimuli, and there's no one you can respond to. So you're kind of, I always, and I'm not a nihilist in any way, but like I always say, some people misinterpret it, embrace the void, meaning like I'm very much like an absurdist, and I love saying like, embrace chaos kind of thing. So for me, it's like, if you're trying to fight against that, you're kind of mopping buckets in the ocean, right? Like at that point, it's just kind of like, yeah, man, it's better that you do what you're going to do and try and release good art, and that people know you as someone like, okay, when we hire this guy, he's reliable, he's a good hang, and they make good art. And then that's all you can hope for, because also the thing is, a lot of people, sometimes they'll be like, and I've seen people do the crossover thing where it works, but sometimes people will be known as a YouTube bass player, as an Instagram bass player, and then they're like, why doesn't this translate to a tour with a band? And it's because now people will think that that's what you do. And
no, I'm so glad you said that.
It's kind of a kiss of death, because sometimes you can go viral, and some people have been able to escape that. But then sometimes it's just like, oh no, you're just that. And so people will never think, oh, you mean the guy from YouTube? They're not thinking about you like, oh, that guy that tours or does session work. So
right.
That's also the catch-22 of that. So you have to be, it's actually, it's funny. I'm glad we're talking about this, because it is kind of a maddening balancing act that all of us have to do, because we still have to be online and present and do stuff to engage people and engage stuff. But how much of it do you surrender to the invisible hand of the algorithm? And again, I'm not a Luddite, like I do the thing, but how much do you give up? Because sometimes that comes at a very real cost of that people just view you that way. And then all of a sudden your phone doesn't ring for things that you kind of want to do.
No, dude, I'm so glad you're mentioning that and talking about that, because a few like months ago, there was all of these like, is guitar YouTube dead? Like that whole topic that was coming out. And like, I even watched like a panel discussion with like all of the top guitar YouTube people, and they were kind of like coming up with ideas of how to like reignite the flame and generate more views. And something that came up from several different people, like Mary Spender and Become the Night, the Gear Gods guy, Trey Xavier, like they were talking about how their YouTube business or their success on YouTube does not translate to like record sales, tours, anything that has to do with like the other side of music business. Like it really is a compartmentalized thing. I think there is some crossover, like Jared Dines has done some pretty successful tours recently, but he's got to be in the top 3 guitar YouTubers. Yeah. Well, another one that comes to mind is Andrew Baina and his band Carcosa. Like he's actually out playing shows, getting on tours and stuff like that.
Adam Neely thread the needle, but that's Adam literally started like his own, like Sungazer is like such a tight unit of a band that it's not a throwaway thing. He actually worked so much on that music, but also I can't imagine how much it must have been to grind those two things, because he has to do this like really high information, really well researched YouTube channel, then invest in like an insane weather report style jazz fusion project. Like that guy, right. That guy was using a flamethrower to to make barbecue. You know what I mean? Like, and much respect, Adam's an awesome dude, amazing bass player. But yeah, like he's one of the few people I know that escaped the algorithm to have like a career outside of that as much, because you're right. And it's interesting. I think that the only people that really escape it are the people that are just such gnarly musicians that you're just like, sometimes like that. But the people that are just kind of like, I just make content and I wonder why like it doesn't do this. That it's one of the things where like, I don't know, man. I just always kind of trusted my gut, and like I don't have the answers. I don't proselytize to people. I just always say, look, man, this is my experience. And to that point, I think also one of the things too is that like, I never, I think a lot of people these days love being like, you know, doing sermons on the mount all the time about things. And like, this is the truth about this. I go like, man, we're all just figuring it out. You know what I mean? And I think that that's one of the things. I know that things that work for me, but when I do a lot of stuff with like younger people and I try and mentor them, and all I do is just work on best practices. Like, you know, be good at your instrument, network, be a good hang, you know, keep relevant with the trends. But like, apart from that, you know, you are kind of carried by the wind a bit, you know, and we live in kind of crazy times of how much information people are dumped on. But the way I view it is also too, like, I think right now, especially with how, you know, how much information is making people feel chaotic, art's really good for that. And the more you can just make good art, that's the least you can do. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you leave making good art and making good records and making good songs, that's at least, you know, if you drop dead the next day, that still lives on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, literally, like, look at Brent Hines. Like, you know, he's gone, but like, everyone knows Crack the Sky. Everyone knows Remission. Everyone knows Once More Around the Sun. Everyone knows those records. And he kind of lives on because that guy just wrote sick-ass parts and wrote some really great-ass tunes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, of course, you know, there's luck behind, you know, that timing when that band got there. But I think that's a great legacy for him to leave behind, is just he made some dope-ass records and played some sick guitar. And that's, I think, all you can hope for in this world, kind of.
He lived hard.
Absolutely, man. Yeah,
did.
I mean, are people going to go back and watch your gear demo from 2017, you know, or something like? Maybe they will, but I think they're more likely to listen to your record that came out in 2017 if it was a badass record, you know. Yeah,
like I did a thing. I remember, like, this blew my mind because I thought this was a thing. Like, you never know who's listening. I was playing pool with some friends like a year and a half ago. And so in 14, me and Felix did this record that unfortunately wasn't released under Prosthetic, but it was called the Human Project, something like that. I forgot. God, it's been so long. But basically, Felix wrote all these tunes to these famous political figures, actors, speeches. And this is before this stuff was popular, and we made music to it. There's a really great one that got taken down by the Chaplin, like literally Charlie Chaplin's state, but it was to the Great Dictator. We do one to like South Korean radio, like North Korean television, one from like Nicolas Sarkozy, like a bunch of people.
That's
like,
crazy, dude.
Yeah, but
wow.
Like these pieces were intensely rehearsed. And it was this project to see if we could do it. Like, you know what I mean? And Felix, to his credit, worked really hard. But it never really went anywhere. But like, it was crazy. But like, at the same time also, hey, can you play this? I just send them one of the things like, okay, you're fine. And I remember this random kid I was like, hey, by the way, I love that record you did. It was crazy. I listened to it all the time. I'm like, dude, thank you so much. Because I thought that thing was just, you know, you threw it in the wind and you see it fly away, and then you're like, oh, the balloon flew away, right? And someone's like, no, dude, that was crazy. I used to listen to it all the time and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. See, that's where art that you never knew, like, people are caring about it. It's not so much about like a video. It's like an album or project you did. And, you know, again, you never know who's listening, and you never know kind of what can come of something you did. But if it's good art and you're trying to do authentic art, I think that has intrinsic value. At least that's me.
I agree, man.
I would agree with that. Yeah, 100%.
Well,
you have a question?
Okay, so obviously our last guest was Danny Rabin from Marbin, and we kind of like unpacked his whole thing. You went to music school. I went to the same one. Mm-hmm. Like, do you think that it sounds like, and this is what for me, it was a very worthwhile investment. I knew what I was getting into. I paid the debt back. I mean, it took me 15 years to do it, or 12 to 15 years to do it, I think. But somewhere in that range. I would do it again if I could. I gained a lot from it. It influenced my playing. Like, do you think, what advice would you give to kids that want to go to music school? Was it worthwhile for you? Would you advise it in these current times?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. So I don't regret going to music school at all. Actually, I think it's one of the things that, and a lot of people don't realize this in their 20s, is that sometimes college and the people you know, that starts paying off a little later in life. So like in your early 20s, all of you are small fish in the music industry, right? Like none of you, y'all ain't shit, right? You leave music school and you're still all, unless you're super lucky and exactly after school you go there, you're all little minnows in a pond.
Yeah.
By the time you're in your 30s, you know, people you went to school with, like, have more influence or a bigger, like, I just had dinner the other day with my buddy Josh, and me and Josh work in ensembles now, and now he does all the sales for North America for Marshall amps.
Wow.
So, like, he's,
sick.
Yeah, and, like, my buddy Ivan, you probably know Ivan.
I know Ivan. I went there when he, did you go, when did you go there, man?
06 to 10.
Okay, so I was 06 to 08, so we were there at the same
For a
same
little
time.
bit. Yeah, so like
for a little bit.
Ivan now runs a Bossy guitar.
Bossy.
So
Yeah.
again, so like, you know, it's one of the things where like the network of that pays off, but also for me, I was 18, I needed to be in that environment. The thing I would say is like, hey, if you're gonna go to music school, you know, like have a goal in mind. Like do not go there. Like for me, I knew I wanted to do this. So I was like, boom, let's go, right? I think a lot of people also too, when they go to Berklee, they don't realize it's not a conservatory where you're just going to have an old Russian lady slapping your wrist to play Liszt faster and faster. Again, people want to do film scoring. People want to do music business management. They want to do pro music. They want to be audio engineers. So a lot of times some people see some person that like plays a couple of chords. They're not a virtuoso. It's like, wait, you went to music school? Like, well, yeah, but they're a film scorer. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of people like that have different skills, right?
Yeah.
But what says like, hey, just make sure, in my opinion, like I had one of my students just go, and he got in almost a full ride because he also plays trombone. He was like, look, make sure you can get a scholarship, unless rich parents or whatever. I didn't. But make sure that you're just like one of those young people, like you're like, I want to do this way, and I want a certain outcome out of it. So I know that's hard to say to a 17-year-old, like, hey, you're going to do it. You have to kind of know what you're getting into. But I don't regret doing it. And I would just say, try, you know, go in, get a scholarship because it isn't cheap. And also too, know what you're getting into and network as much as possible, you know, because a lot of things like, and this like goes to college in general. People like, you know, you could go to get your MBA and get nothing out of it if you don't really network, take access to the resources, do stuff, you know, be an engineer. You're like, well, did you like intern at firms? Did you like stay after and talk to professors about certain things? Did you get in on research projects? Like my buddy just graduated from Dartmouth Medical School, right? Very smart person, incredibly. They did their MD, PhD there. But, you know, a lot of how you get now that they're practicing doctor in Seattle, I was like, dude, it's all about like, you know, volunteering to do research papers, doing this other stuff. So like for that, it's like the people I knew that got successful, or got out of Berklee are the people that literally, there was a meme in the proto meme days of early millennialhood where it was the Mingus the Jazz Cat and goes like, hey dude, let's jam, and then never jam, right? But no, like literally play music with as many people as possible, sign up for things, ensembles, like do things, like ask, like if you're taking a private lesson with the professor, you like have lunch with them, talk with them, pick their brain. Like that's the value, is the people. Like people think it's like the institution, the building, the mortar and stuff like that. And like almost all colleges are businesses that are trying to make money, but the value in it is the people you're surrounded by. So for me, the older I get, the more I appreciate that I went there, because a lot of the people I went with not only are like lifelong friends, like literally the house I'm in right now, my best friend that I met at Berklee, this is technically his house. And I watch his on this other side of this house, on the other side of this door. This is my office, but there's a recording studio on the other side there. And so I basically have a deal with him where I babysit his studio as well. And, he doesn't have to renovate it because he knows I live here. But that's a connection I made at Berklee. I live in a nice house, not like fancy, but I love where I live because of a friend that I met at music school. And I have a place to do my gear here. And, so I just say, look, go into it. Like if you got to make sure, but I would say if you want to do it to like play, then you really like, I don't know, like go to network. That's most and foremost. You know what I mean? Like it's like I said, it's like real life. You have to be multifaceted with everything. But again, not everything's for everyone. So like if they want to go, make sure you get a scholarship if your parents can't afford it. But two, it's also just like, if you know it's not for you, then drop out when you need to. But like for me, I'm glad I finished, and I'm glad I went. And for my emotional health, 18-year-old me, it was the right place for me to be. You know what I mean?
Because that's great.
I would have been like drowning, not having art in my life at that point. And not to sound so like cheesy about it, but like, you know, where I grew up, I was not happy. So like when I was there, I was like, okay, you make friends, and everyone's like playing, and you know what I mean? Like I still like give gigs and get gigs from other people I went to school there. Like, and also like the people I'm surrounded by, man, like the bass players in my graduating class and next to it. So it's me. I used to like jam with Mono Neon in my room. Like now he's like there. So it's me, Mono, Nate Navarro.
I love that guy, dude, because I did a lot of work with Nate Navarro at Eventide. He's the best, bro.
He was a sweetheart, dude. Adam Neely was there. Evan Marion. Like Evan Marion used to sell me strings. So like all of us, you know, were there at the same time. So it's like, you know, there was a good air then, you know, for the people there. And so like, you know, oh yeah, Charles Bertu was like, he was a little younger than me, but he was there like my senior year. I think I remember him there. So, you know,
I agree with you, man. I think you touched on something really important. It's really the makeup of your persona and what you're going to get out of this. It's not just music school, it's any school. If you're going to a school and you think that just by being there, the institution is going to magically make you a better player, there's no shortcut, man. You got to do, you're a worker. I can tell. Like, you're a hard worker. You're a humble dude that's confident, that knows that you've got to put in hours and hours and love it because you love it. I can tell you're passionate about it because it's like, dude,
you have to love, like, if you want to get better, like if that's your goal, you have to love practicing. Like I say, like, there's two things I say to my students. One, embrace sucking, like being like,
yes,
like literally like fuck up a lot. Like what I did, I was recording a Wes Houck solo yesterday, and Wes is a monster guitar player, and you know, I got it done in a timely fashion. I'm really proud of myself that I did. But man, I didn't get that thing down in one take, like, because it's Wes Houck, you know what I mean? Like he does these like, you know, minor third bends after like a run, and I'm like, woo, yeah, like a lot of yelling the F word at the computer screen while I'm getting to nail the run, you know what I mean? But that's kind of the thing. You got to get in love with that, and I say the only way around is through, man. At least with practice, it's like that. Don't get me wrong, like I'm all about modern tools, like so like I always tell people, like, look, man, there's a million backing tracks online that are free. Jam out with that. You know what I mean? Like, but at the end of the day, like, there's no like, how do you get better at slap bass? Do this motion for many, many years, and eventually it'll be really good. Like, and we all get this because we're musicians, but you have to fall in love with that. And yeah, again, I think people think the institutions themselves are magic bullets. And that's not it. And really the key for me with music school was that it's the people that I met there. It was literally like my classmates and stuff. Like a lot of the people I know now. Once I played with Neely, I've known Neely since she was 18 years old. You know what I mean? Like it's nice to play shows with a friend. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm happy for her that she's doing so well. But literally it's just, and she's one of those people, dude. Like Neely just worked her ass off.
Dude, I saw her from. I was there, dude. I saw her when she was 18, and dude, she was great back then. But like, dude, you could tell she was really like, you know, she was working on her technique then, and now, like, look at where she is now, dude. I mean,
yeah, no, and she's one of those people that, like, I go like, oh, what'd she do? She was like, she sat in a room for millions of hours and just click, do it again, click, do it again. Yeah, and that's why she got those gigs, and yeah. But yeah, I think that's the key. You have to embrace that process, and I think that music school, and not to like, again, nothing against the former guest, but I didn't find any what was the term he used, postmodern interpretation. I'm like, what, man? I got graded F through A's, man. Like, and there were better. Like, also, I just taught at the Victor Woonclap. There's advanced, there's intermediate, and there's beginner. Like, we're not just being like, you're all beautiful little butterflies. Like, no, like, it's like, hey, you're going with the beginners. These are the more advanced kids. Like, I never found that there was any kind of like, no, but you're beautiful. Like, everyone's good at bass. He was like, no. They'd be like, hey, you didn't practice. Come back next week or you get an F. So I don't know. I mean, that's maybe his experience. I didn't have a postmodernist experience. I had a very, hey, you didn't finish this assignment. Well, I actually wasn't a bad student at all. I graduated with like a 3 something, but like, yeah, I remember this one semester I spent too much time with my first real girlfriend. She went to BU, and my grades slipped, and my teacher's like, "Yeah, happy for you, bud. You need to turn in your assignments, or I'm gonna fail you."
Right. Yeah. No. Thanks for sharing that.
That's
that
great.
alternate perspective, man. Because people are different, man, and people have, I'm sure I would have had a slightly different experience than Christian and you if I were to have gone there. So
What you said is also important. You have those 2 to 4 years, whatever you're there, dude. That's where you immerse yourself. Like I felt like I needed, because I went to Boston College. I graduated Boston College first, and I was like, I'm going. I was a music, minor there, English major.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to immerse myself in this time while I can do it, and just play guitar for 8 hours a day. Got all my gen eds out of the way. And I was always a diligent practicer, but like I didn't leave. Same thing. I didn't leave my room, dude. So like I agree with what you said too. You gotta embrace the suck. You gotta go suck live to get good.
Yeah.
You gotta just like look at videos and be like, I am awful, and like I need to get better if I want to have a career in this. And like that's a very important learning experience. I wouldn't have had that
I
without
think one
Berklee.
thing is good. Like, so back to just to piggyback for a quick second was like you
Yeah.
talking about, like, oh, like modern stuff. I think that one of the good things about the modern era with social media is that, yeah, you do see yourself back all the time. Like one of the things my boss said, like, oh, wow, you don't have red light syndrome. Like when it comes to talking and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, because I've had to put a phone in front of me and record myself playing 1,000,000,000 times. So what happens after a while, you're like, okay, the red light doesn't scare me, which is great for a lot of the younger kids because they're used to filming themselves all the time. When I was growing up, I never filmed myself until like college. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because like also the technology, like where was it?
Wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah. So, I remember making my first YouTube video. It's on some old thing, and it was me doing a solo, and but I did it. But like, yeah, of course, like the more you do it, the more you do it, the more you record yourself, the more you track, the more you see yourself. Like someone's holding a mirror, like, look, this is what you look like. Yeah.
It's true. It's true, man.
Yeah, man, I don't know how much more time we have left, but I would love to hear some of your favorite instruments. Like maybe you could talk about your keysels,
Yeah.
your experience.
Absolutely.
Like I'd also like to know like how you approach different tones. Like what kind of like, are you using dark glass stuff for rock and metal, and then something else for like jazz and fusion? But I would love to hear how you approach like bass tone.
And
as
when
well.
did you begin that partnership with Kiesel? Anyways, like
Yeah, no. So I started with Kiesel in 2017.
Okay.
I was with a company called J Farrow, but they went bankrupt. Unfortunately, they were like,
R.I.P.
yeah, RIP. But when I joined Skill Summit, Chris had been, a Kiesel artist, signature artist, and so, Jeff sent me a Vader on a tour when we were opening up for Marty Friedman, and I kind of fell in love with the basses. And it's not just out of endorsement obligation. Is that I actually genuinely do love these instruments. Like this is one of the first ones they built for me for Skill Summit.
That's so sick, dude.
Yeah, dude, this bass is incredible.
Here's
Yeah.
Vader.
Yeah, dude. And the thing about this bass, which I love, because even though it looks like a unicorn farted, is that it's such an aggressive sounding bass. So I remember there's video of us in Mexico City playing with Lepros, and there's a on a big B, and it filled the hall. And I'm like, dang, this thing sounds angry. But the thing, these pickups in the electronics, they always sit in a mix. Like I never fight it. My pedals, yeah, I do a combination. Now I use more combination of things. But yeah, I'm pretty much a dark glass devotee. I started working with that company back in the 2010s. I still use a lot of that. I have a Helix that I basically kind of like for live that I use for that. Like I kind of like, model off a B7K tone. But I still use pedals, like all the time. I just like that the Helix, I can kind of do either guitar or bass, and it's just on one little station, and I can kind of mix and match it a little bit more. But yeah, basically, I do a combination of a lot of different basses. These two have been my go-tos recently. This is my 8.
Wow, look at that one.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, this bass is incredible. Like some people call it the keys wall, but like honestly, what I like about it, and again, nothing but respect to Sheldon because I think he's a genius. He makes amazing basses. I love the neck profile on these much better, in my opinion. Again, this
Okay, so what's the difference?
The neck on this is much thinner. Also, these are tritium pickups, the Kiesel ones, which I really like because they're a little bit warmer. 3-band, but just like look the top, but like, you know, they gifted me this bass to be one of the people to endorse it. So like, I'm so grateful that they send me stuff like this, you know?
Yeah, I love the antique ash
That's really
finish on that one.
That's the one they surprised me with this year, which is the Z2.
Wow.
That's so sick, man.
Yeah, which is gorgeous. Again, like, I've been grateful that, like, you know, I've been gifted so many beautiful instruments. This is one from 2018. I love this one. It's like this is my main 6-string, really, because like nothing against Sparkle Pony, but like, and it sucks because people are like, they look on appearances, but this I can bring to more gigs.
Yeah.
Sparkle Pink, and I'm like,
it's so lame, dude.
Man, yeah. But this bass is wonderful. It's like a super Music Man. Again, like,
yeah, I was gonna say that's what it.
So Kilian, your other basses have the triple pickup thing, and they're all kind of like right in the middle of the picking area or of your playing area. Like, how does the tone compare to that versus like a traditional Music Man bass, like your other headless bass that you just showed us?
Yeah, that's a good question. So with this one, it kind of works on a switch system, where I view them as different basses, right? So the first one's kind of like a P bass sound.
Yeah, real
darker here, like they're like. And then this one's more of a jazz. Then a Music Man sound like.
Guy is so good.
That's so
and
nice.
that one's just like a
sick. Oh, cool. Nice, Jocko.
This one's great. I love this one so much. I actually track a lot of stuff with this one. And also 37. So the B string on this is gnarly.
Are you all multi-scale pretty much? You know, like
almost. I have 3 basses here that I don't.
Okay.
One's my fretless. This one's a fun story.
Whoa.
Sarah Longfield. She painted this guitar for me because I just asked her like, "Hey, paint." This was a kit bass when Keith used to make kits, and then Dave Cohen put the hardest nails finish on this bass. So it's like a super jazz bass, passive, but it's a standard scale. But the B string on this thing holds up perfectly. I've never had a problem with it. I've actually a lot of the Visitant record, the record I just dropped. A lot of it's actually on this.
No kidding.
No shit, man.
I do a lot of bass playthroughs with this funny. I just wanted a corgi and my rabbit, and then she made it into this pastel like fever dream, which is great.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so this is the bass I actually recorded. I've actually recorded a lot of death metal on this bass.
Man, I love that. I love the painting on that. It's really endearing and beautiful to look at. Like I like that.
Then of course, this is Rigs of Dad. That's my, but this is my like Pinot bass. It's like a flat wound P. Again, like I'm all about this sound. It's just I'm one of those people that like hate some people like, no, you can only play that. You know what I mean? Like we're like. You know, nice and warm, like
great.
I love this bass. The thing I like about Kiesel P basses, their PB line, is that the neck profile feels like a jazz. And so like again, I have a Fender P bass here because people, you know, ask, do you have a Fender? And I do. And I like this one. This is a Mexican P bass player 2 that I actually really enjoy. But this one,
it's a good series. The player series is cool.
Yeah, but this one's awesome just because the bridge is a hip shot bridge. It's great. And then just like the neck profile, you can tell. So I get all the streamlining comfort of a jazz bass, a really comfortable jazz.
So you like a thinner profile in general?
Yeah, I'm lucky in the sense that I don't really feel necks that much. Meaning like if you give me any bass, I'll get used to it for the most part. But yeah, like if I can get a thinner profile, it'd be cool. You know what I mean? Like you know, so it just flies. You know, like just.
Yeah.
It's just a great bass. And then this one, I have a couple more upstairs, but I'll show you like the main one. And then this is my main jazz bass. I have to replace the volume pot because this was the one I used a lot with. This thing's been from here to Timbuktu.
Is that the main gigging axe?
Cool.
Actually, so this one's actually been out of commission for a little bit because it works. Just the volume pot needs fixing.
Yeah.
It still can, but I don't risk it on a gig. You know what I mean? But this thing is amazing. I have like a little Grogu stick on the back.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, I bought Roasty Boy. This is my first like full roasted maple neck bass, but this one I used with Fallujah. Like I really like if you see photos of me from like 70,000 tons, this is the bass I used on that stuff. And like this thing has been from here to like I don't know, like freaking all Eastern Europe and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like this thing's the shit. Like it's a really great sounding jazz bass. Like it's really like kind of sick color. I love it.
Very cool.
I have a bunch more stuff, and then the tone you're hearing me play through now is I just have a little chorus thing that sounds cool. It's actually Polychrome DSP McRocklin. He launched this thing called the Lumos, which I really love. And they have a little bass, couple of patches, and they have this one with like chorus, which is fun to like play around with. But it's really great. But my main things when I'm recording bass, if I'm doing dirty stuff. If it's dirty, I have Joey Calderon from Archeco gave me his quad bass plugin, which is a great overdrive. And then I have the Parallax that has my settings. So the Neural DSP Parallax. And then for cleans, I either use the Lumos or now that I have that, but I also have a preset. Like I don't have it like as a plugin, but I have an Ampeg plugin that's like an SVT thing. That's actually what I used for the Radio Rhomboid tone, which was that. So it's like a nice SVT silver, thing. And then live, I use GK amps.
Sick.
Very nice. Dude, that's awesome. So like that, talk to me about that Atom pedal. Does that do all of the different dark glass stuff, or does it just kind of do one particular thing?
Oh, are you talking about the Anagram, the thing that just came out? Oh, the green one, the Atom that came out.
I think, yeah, in one of the videos I saw you using that. I think it was with the...
Oh, the Atom one, yeah. So I have it in the other room, but the Atom was like a very crazy, like growly fuzz overdrive. So it's like kind of like an all-in-one overdrive station.
Okay.
It's sick. It's amazing. It definitely is more for like people that are engineers minded.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Like, it's for people that want to be able to refine everything. For me, if I'm using like live distortion, I use B7K Ultra. This is like my
nice.
Like because it's got the DI. I can run it with the cap sim, which I do. It has a simple band EQ, but like so the X series I find a lot, and even sometimes I'll just even like I have a B7K over there. I mean those pedals, it's kind of a set it and forget it pedal. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't suck. So for this one's been toured like to crap too, like the Velcro and the little tape for everything. I think there's even little screws in it. It's fine though.
It's got character, man.
It's just very heavily toured. But for my main overdrive live, I use the X Ultra. And then for that one went the way that this one, I had to rest in peace. This one was my main compressor that I had for, from like 2017 to 2022. So 5 years of touring and like endless gigs. And it finally just went the way of the Dodo just because I put a billion gigs on it. And so now I do the little hyperluminal one, which is great because like if I'm doing that, less of a footprint. But those are mainly my live overdrives. And then actually, there is one fun pedal I like to use. I love this freaking pedal. I suggest everyone should get it. It only costs like $150. It's the Electro-Harmonix Canyon.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite delays. I like Electro-Harmonix stuff in general. It's just one of the things where like this little pedal and me have done so many things together. It's just a little great. I always think that every bass player should still have like a fun pedal or something like that. But I wrote a lot of stuff. Like there's on the Abiotic record, there's like a false harmonic thing I do, and I ran it through this, so it was really sick.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I could only imagine what the Pog 2. What you could if you ever get one of those on your under your.
I've debated getting like some like investing one day in like a really cool whammy like octaver effect thing.
Yeah, man,
that
that's in your
nasty.
future maybe.
Yeah.
Kilian, do you ever get any pushback with playing headless instruments at all?
Thankfully, not that much, but I also know when and where to bring them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I'm playing in Skill Summit or something like that, people don't care, right? But then there's also things like when I was in Fallujah, it's not that like Scott or any of them would have cared, but I kind of read the room that like that's more of a band traditional metal. I used headstock instruments. I think that's more or less like a thing that's dying out because Strandbergs are a thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I like both. I actually kind of prefer headstock basses sometimes, but this is great to travel with. Like one of the things that people forget, this is very convenient to travel with. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yep.
it's extremely like just great to just just I don't have to worry about it breaking into thing. And again, like it's kind of great because like you get a lot of cool sounds out of this kind of stuff.
Sick.
See, so
Beautiful.
like, you can get so much cool shit out of these types of instruments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This bass is like a real like. See, like
nice.
you can get like really beautiful stuff out of this stuff. This is close as well, but yeah, I mean, like I don't find that there's any compromise in tone. I'm also one of those people that thinks that like, yeah, do all these like little things that people like to debate online matter? Sure, they do in a complete blind test, but at the end of the day, once you're in a venue with your amp in the room, and also you have an EQ, you can adjust for all these factors, right? You know what I mean? So I'm one of those people like I say. Use a microscope in the studio, definitely not live because you'll drive yourself insane.
Right.
And also by the time you're going out the front of house guy is going to, or girl, do whatever.
Let the sound guy do his job,
Exactly. So.
Yeah. Well, dude, what do you have going on for the rest of the year? We've got a few more months. Are you going back out on tour? Are you staying home teaching, recording? Like, what do you have coming up, Kilian?
Yeah. So thankfully a lot of recording and some more releases are going to be happening. I got this big, like I said, I have a big jazz gig I'm doing in October in Colorado, which is awesome because like I've wanted to transition to that world for a while. There's a possibility, fingers crossed, that before the end of the year I might do some session work with Mike Stern.
Whoa, that would be crazy, bro.
Again,
Congrats.
Again, if it's not this year, it might be next year. It keeps getting like moved around. But I am doing those big jazz gigs in October. And then just doing more stuff for the projects. My band Laddermath is going to hopefully release some stuff. And then just prepping for, there's 2 big projects. One is in development still, which is like 3 EPs with the project. That will hopefully be coming out next year, starting. And then that hip hop project, hopefully next year. We're going to see what happens with it. But again, one of the things where like I'm always going to be continuing. But yeah, apart from those travel gigs, and I'm mostly recording and teaching. I got a bunch of gigs lined up this month and stuff like that, which is good. But then just like pushing the releases so far, like keep what Radio Romboy is going to do a lot of more stuff with some bigger artists and stuff like that. And then Visitant's going to keep releasing stuff, and then just pushing forward and doing the work, man.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Well, you're a truly inspiring musician, man. Like, seriously, like just hanging out with you makes me want to just pick up my guitar and just play the shit out of it. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that a lot, man.
Like, it's for real, dude. Doing a podcast is fun, and I love talking to people. But it's a lot of work too. So it's really fun to do these more kind of musician based shows where we get into the nitty gritty, and I just get really fired up to play.
And thank you for playing for us too. And I really do.
Yeah, no worries,
to kind of piggyback off Drew there. Yeah, I dig your outlook and your work ethic and just your overall attitude, man. It's very humbling and refreshing. Definitely.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I guess like the parting thought I'll be is like, there's a lot of negativity in the world out there, and like there's a lot of things to be actually angry about. And one of the things I don't spend my time thinking about all this stuff I hate in art. You know what I mean? Like there are bands I don't think. Like, I'm not thinking like, oh, I love everything. I'm not like some kumbaya dude. But like at the same time, I don't spend time like just sitting there being like, I hate this. It's like, especially it's art. Like there's things to actually hate in this world. And if a band I don't like them, I'm just like, oh, that sucks. And then I just move on. And I think also with everything that's going on with outrage culture and just everything that's kind of happening, art should be our bastion to just be like, look, this is permanent, this is real, like this is tangible, and also it's good for your brain to be around. Go to shows, like you know, do art with other people, or if even by yourself, just to do that for your mental health, and to do that, and also just like, you know, show your work most of all, and then just keep your art honest. I think that's the best thing you can do, and that's all we can really hope for, you know what I mean? But like, I think art, you know, there's so many serious things in the world. You know, art
Right.
should still be like a thing that just causes us to be like in a good mood, hopefully. You know.
Well, there's something that, you know, one of my teachers told me, and it was like, don't ever argue with someone about taste, right? Everybody has their tastes in music and art and food, right? But it doesn't make any sense to like create an argument out of something that is ultimately more of a subjective thing. And in music, we have there's music that is objectively good, but I would argue that a lot of music is subjective, right? People either like it or they don't, you know?
Yeah,
So-
and I think it's just the takeaway I'd give to people is like, look, before you start talking about what these players are doing or playing or whatever, just, you know, show your work, do your thing, like actually produce the music, you know what I mean? Be a doer, not so much a sayer.
Right.
And show your work, and just, you know, try and be like, well, thanks. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on, guys.
Dude,
Thank you,
thank you
Kilian.
so much for hanging with us,
Much
Kilian. This was
appreciated.
so great, man.